I've never been one to wear my faith on my sleeve, but that doesn't mean it's not important to me. Quite the opposite. My faith has sustained me, informed me, saved me, guided me, and challenged me. Now, I want to say something about this. I think it's always interesting when a politician shares faith. And now I understand she's more than a politician. We have to know that. We have to understand that salvation goes beyond this. But this article also includes a lot of politics. So we're talking about faith and politics here, and the shallowness of Christian faith in this country. And part of that shallowness is due because we really mix in the politics, not include our faith in politics, but we mix it as if one has an equal say over the other. But I want to say this. This is something every politician says about the Christian faith. This kind of thing. This is a usual quote that you can find. Some form. My faith has informed me. My faith convicts me. That's not according to my faith. My faith causes me to. So many have said this. Growing up in church, hearing politicians talk, man, I've heard this so many times. And even if they're not of the Christian faith, they still say it about the Christian faith. So even non-Christian politicians say something like this about the Christian faith. And here's the truth. Jesus challenges people. But the way they use it to add credibility to their words, right? Jesus challenges me, but at the same time, he's just about to justify and give me credibility for the point I'm making. So at the same time, he's challenging them, but he's also on their side. So it's always Jesus challenges me, but challenges me on my side, right? So they always use these words to add credibility and rally people to their side. Jesus is different. Jesus is very different. Even the way he works is very different. There's one time in John, I believe it's John chapter 6. It's funny, as a pastor, you got to sometimes think, But John chapter 6, Jesus tells everybody, eat my body and drink my blood. That's pretty metal, by the way. It's pretty metal. But he says, eat his body, drink his blood. And he didn't bother explaining what that meant. He just let everyone assume that he's talking about cannibalism. And so a bunch of people left him after he said that. And so this idea of rallying people, Jesus, look at Jesus, Jesus has challenged me, but also Jesus also agrees with me. And so it allows you to rally and gather strength and gather power. Jesus, when he talked, people left. His words were so tough. People left. They're like, I don't know if I could do this. And he even asked his own disciples, do you guys want to leave too? Right? And Peter was like, you have the words of life. That's another story for another time. I'm not going to start preaching right now. But no matter what Jesus says, they are life. They are life. No matter what he says. Unlike politicians, right? Unlike even some pastors, right? So unlike us, right? People in general. But so much for rallying for Jesus, right? And so I want to just clarify, if compassion, if empathy is the way to go, it is not ultimately to be used just to simply get numbers, right? Jesus doesn't need numbers to get something accomplished. These politicians do. They need the numbers. They need the votes. Jesus doesn't need any of that. So if compassion is the way of Jesus, it is not first a numbers game. It includes numbers because God wants to save this world. He wants to see people come to know him. He did save the world, but he wants to get more people into this flock, right? So if compassion is the way to go, it's not a numbers game. It's not a voting game. It's a heart game. It's not a ritual. What do you mean by ritual? It's not a ritual where you can just use compassion and force divine action, force people to act, and force anything regardless of your character, right? While ignoring your character. You can't just say, well, I'm going to choose to be compassionate now, therefore these things have to change and everyone has to change and the world just needs to start working this way. You can't use ritual to automatically just make something relevant or make something work if it's not a way of life for you. If your heart ain't in it, can't stick with it, right? If your heart ain't in it, you can't stick with it. That's not how it works with Jesus. If your heart ain't in it, it's just not going to work. Jesus knows the heart. He knows the heart. And so you can't use these things as a ritual. You can't use it and conjure it up. It has to be sincere. It has to really come from the heart when it comes to these things. So again, she's using it to qualify herself in a sense, or really justify herself, like many politicians do. They share their faith to justify themselves, right? They always talk about how I believe God called me for this, and maybe not, and maybe God called you for this. But if you lose, I guess that calling wasn't enough. I guess God calling you wasn't enough. So you got to be careful when they start saying this is my like divine appointment or something. You got to be careful with that.